Hey guys, Sam here, and it's the holiday season. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to you all. So, if you took a guess, then yes, this review is Christmas centered, and it is on the classic story, A Christmas Carol. Now I know what you're thinking. Wait, you already did that. It was that cartoon one from decades ago, right? Yes, that is true. I did review the 1971 animated short film, and I still do recommend it to this day. But remember guys, this is just one of many adaptations of the original story. There are live action movies, plays, musicals, TV show specials, and yes, other animated specials that also gave their spin on the classic Charles Dickens story. I can guarantee that there will still be more and more versions coming in the future, and some could be as interesting and unique as the version I'm talking about today, the CGI animated musical version, or the animated Netflix version, to put it simply, Scrooge, A Christmas Carol. Strangely enough, while it came out last year, I didn't even know it existed until I was at a family gathering. The TV was on, and it was airing on one of the networks. Of course, with all the chatter in the room, I wasn't able to properly watch it at the time, so I found the movie later, watched it, and honestly enjoyed it. But that was a year ago, and my opinion on it could change. So I watched it again just a few days ago. How was it? Well, isn't that why you are here? To hear my opinion on this movie while you're still sitting on the toilet seat in your bathrooms? Isn't that right, Shane? Yeah, that's right. I know you're watching me while you're still seated on the bowl. Why are you still there? Why? Flush, spray it up. Get up and watch it somewhere else already. You're killing me, Smalls! Anyway, you know the drill. Summary first, thoughts afterwards. We good? Splendid. Let's begin. Did you spray up the bathroom yet, Shane? You did? Good. Don't forget to wash your hands. Seriously, I know you're in your own place, but you can still have decent hygiene. Okay, so, if you know the Christmas Carol story, you probably know how it goes. But just in case someone doesn't know, it's about a grumpy old man named Ebenezer Scrooge. He's a heartless man who hates Christmas, treats others like crap, and cares more about his money rather than his fellow acquaintances and his employee Bob Cratchit. But that all changes when he meets Bob Marley's ghost. He tells Scrooge that he'll be haunted by 3 spirits and will be shown the error of his ways. The ghosts are ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. And with every one of them, Scrooge realizes all the mistakes he made and where he will end up if he never learns. So by the end of the story, Scrooge turns over a new leaf and becomes a better man. He becomes nicer, more giving, and more hospitable to the people in the town, and to the people closest to him. God bless us, everyone. The end. So, what are my thoughts? First, I'll start with the animation. There have been plenty of animated versions of the story before. Some great, some not great, and some in the middle. Some did have some impressive animation, while some were more standard. In this film, the CG animation is, to put it simply, astounding. The colors pop, the backgrounds look great, and it truly comes alive with the song sequences, which we will get to later. The designs on a lot of the characters are quite good too. Scrooge does have a nice design, despite looking a bit younger than the other versions. Sure, he is old, but I could see him being around 40, maybe 50 years old. You know, the silver fox kind of guy. Regardless, he looks fine. The other characters have good designs as well, and they all certainly look distinct. Bob Cratchit, Tiny Tim, Harry Huffman, and of course, the 3 spirits. We have seen the spirit of Christmas past as a candle before, but the way they animate her, how she shapeshifts into different people, and her design looking similar to the lady in the advertisement seen throughout the town, are great touches. The spirit of Christmas present looks quite good too. The green robes, the fabulous beard, and his ability to go from big to small at any time are cool. The spirit of Christmas yet to come is the weakest design in my opinion. I'm not saying it's bad, and having the spirit of the present turn into him is quite freaky and really well animated, but we've seen the cloaked figure before in other adaptations, and giving him orange eyes doesn't make it new. It's not bad, but it's not my favorite. Nevertheless, the animation is one of the biggest aspects of this film that will make it distinct from other adaptations. Next, the voice cast. Every single one is phenomenal. Luke Evans does a great job as Scrooge, capturing his cold, bitter side while still giving him humanity and some sympathy. The rest of the cast, like Fra Fee, Johnny Flynn, Jonathan Pryce, and even the child actors do a good job in their respective roles. Same goes with the spirits too. Olivia Colman plays the ghost of Christmas Past, and she does do a fine job. Her acting resume does speak for itself, and she does give the spirit a lot of personality. But maybe a little too much. Yeah, one of the problems with this film, at least for me, is the need to add in some comedy when it's really not needed. I'm not saying there can't be any funny moments in A Christmas Carol, and the film did give me a couple good chuckles, but there are a few times with her that when the moment and the mood is close to perfect, it gets cut off for the sake of a few gags. Like her mispronouncing Mr. Fezziwig's name and a few other mannerisms from her that I wish could have been dialed back a touch. The same goes with Trevor Dion Nicholas as the spirit of Christmas Present. He does a fine job too, but again, the need to add in bits of comedy kind of hurts his performance and the tone of the movie. His introduction before his song sequence was a little too forced. Like, he gives this big grand entrance like he's some kind of booming and serious person, like, I'm going to do this to you. But then, of course, he pulls the rug out and goes, I'm sorry, I couldn't keep it up any longer. Someone bet me to do it, I just couldn't. And yeah, there was really no need for that. And he even makes a fourth wall joke after his musical number. That was just bizarre. And then there's these little flying sprite things. There was really no need to have them around. For example, sometimes there are scenes that are trying to have their moments sink in, when all of a sudden, whoa, looky, the spirits are playing with the donkey outside the window. Oh, isn't that just cute? yeah, that's great. Can we get back to the movie, please? And speaking of things that aren't needed, the dog. Sure, she's cute, and she does get a couple of dramatic scenes that are done fine, but you could cut the dog out of the film and not miss a thing. And yes, the dog also gets dragged into the unneeded bits of comedy that are just not funny. Plus, when we get to the future, the moment where Scrooge sees his grave isn't quite as powerful when there is someone mourning for him, rather than having everyone be glad he's dead. Wouldn't it have made more sense to not have the dog and everyone else mourn him? That way, it would have really driven the point home to Scrooge, showing him that he must change his ways. Like I said, if you took Prudence, the name of the dog, out of the film, the story would still be the same. But with all that said, those are my only real problems with the film. All the spirits do get their moments to shine. The ways they teleport Scrooge are really cool and allow the animation to come alive. And when there are times they need to be serious, they can do it. The best parts of the film are when the scenes are allowed to play out as either happy, sad, emotional, depressing, or all the above. The flashbacks to Scrooge's past are done quite well. You could see the seeds and added layers in his past that made him the cold, bitter man he is. He grew up almost just like Bob Cratchit did. He had a sister he cared for and was just as sick as Tiny Tim, and the stuff with Scrooge and Isabel together, I really like their scenes a lot. They even get a couple song sequences together, and they're really great. Again, I'll talk about the music later. Of course, as you'd expect, his past are harsh reminders of what Scrooge could have had and could have been if he wasn't so focused on needing so much financial security in his life. Sure, it is important, but it's not the only important thing. When we do see Scrooge as the famous cold man he is, it is done well. They do a good job making him look like a stuck-up asshole, being nasty to the kids, the donators, the toy shop owner who owes him a debt despite dealing with a sick mother, and so on. But here's something I like about this. Even before we see him meet the spirits, there are hints of his true self trying to get out. Like feeling something when he sees a couple kiss outside his window, or the Cratchit kids begging for money, or looking at his stopwatch and seeing the phrase, "to our happiness." You could see that he's been hardened so much by his mistakes of the past that he takes it out on others, so he doesn't have to feel that same pain again. Now look, other stories have shown that Scrooge is this bitter asshole, and they didn't go quite as in-depth with his past like this, but I do welcome it, and it does make Scrooge a little bit more relatable, because it does show that this could really happen to anybody, kind of like with the Onceler from the Lorax. That kind of stuff could happen to anybody, whether you have good intentions with your life or not. The kids remind Scrooge of his past financial struggles, and his sister, who unfortunately passed away later. The couple outside remind him of his love that he lost, and the same goes with that stopwatch. He tries to block it all out and keep to himself, but all his actions do catch up to him eventually. One of my favorite scenes is when Scrooge and Marley pretty much ruined the Cratchit family business when Scrooge was younger and Bob Cratchit was a young boy. It gives a really interesting connection between Scrooge and Bob Cratchit. Scrooge is not that spiteful cold man yet in this moment, but you could see that Marley had an influence on that. And the worst part is Isabel, the woman Scrooge was engaged to, watched it all, and Scrooge can't do anything about it. With all the things he sees, he can't do anything to change it. All he can do is watch. It's really heartbreaking to see, guys. It's like that moment in the Jim Carrey version where Scrooge sees Bob's devastated face after Tiny Tim's death head on. He can't run from it, and he can't look away. He has to face it. Moments like this really make this film shine. There are also a few times Scrooge sheds a few tears when he's truly moved by certain things he didn't take into consideration before. Like the Cratchit family, for example. Their dynamic is really sweet, and they get a song number 2, which is really well done. Okay, I've held off long enough, let's get to the music. This, like the animation, is the other important aspect of this film that sets it apart from other adaptations. The songs are really, really good. They can be heartfelt and sweet, like the songs sung by Scrooge's sister and the Cratchit kids. They can be bombastic and joyful, like the opening number about Christmas and the I Like Life number. There's even a dark one where the toy shop owner who owed Scrooge money and the townsfolk give thanks to Scrooge for dying. That's honestly messed up, but in a good way. And the rest of the songs are quite emotional and performed exceptionally well. Some of the actors and actresses in this film did have experience in stage shows and other musicals, and it certainly shows in their vocals. The music by Jeremy Holland Smith is great, and the songs by the late Leslie Bricusse, who this film was dedicated to after she passed away, are phenomenal. Honestly, the best song in this film, in my opinion, was Later Never Comes, when Isabel says goodbye to Scrooge and leaves behind the engagement ring. Luke Evans and Jessie Buckley just knock it out of the ballpark here. Their vocals are astounding, and I'll be honest, the song did get me teary-eyed.
This will be the day she said
In my opinion, every song was great. It isn't the first time A Christmas Carol has been turned into a musical, and I'm sure it won't be the last, but these songs definitely make this version stand out. And of course, when we do see Scrooge become nicer and do great things for the people around him, like allowing the kids to help out with his dinner, giving them money, and even making Bob Cratchit his business partner, is quite nice. He can't change the past, but he can learn from it, and he can do whatever he can in the present to create a better future. That's honestly a lesson that anybody watching this film can learn from. That's something that I can learn from. Now, there are other things I do like about the film, but I'll quickly go through them since this video is long enough already. The cracks in the memories showing how similar Scrooge's memories are with others is a nice detail. Seeing Scrooge look like Bob Marley's ghost was freaky and something I've never seen before, and I do like that the film does use some of the original book's quotes, but doesn't overuse them. It does do a decent job with the source material while still being its own thing. Honestly, the film has a lot of good in it, despite not getting the best critical reception. I mean, sure, it's not perfect, and it does have flaws, but one, what Christmas Carol adaptation doesn't have flaws? And second, undercooked, a bore, and close to unwatchable? This film is certainly not any of those things. Think whatever you want to think, but I think this is a good adaptation. Is it the best? No. Does it rely on humor a bit too much? Yes. But when it gets it right, it gets it right. With a nice combination of wonderful animation, beautiful songs, great voice acting, and some new additions, while still keeping true to the original story, it is a film I won't forget. It's not as good as the Richard Williams Chuck Jones short, but it certainly stands out like that one does. So in the end, the final score I will give to the 2022 Christmas Carol Netflix film is a solid 8 out of 10. Check it out if you haven't already. Alright guys, that's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this review, and if you did, give it a like and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of this adaptation. Did you find it good, lacking, or in the middle? Thank you for watching, and as always, my name is Sam. Mwah. Good night everybody, and have a Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.